Check test. All right. Hello. Hey, hi. I hope everyone is having, will have, or has had a wonderful first Thursday. Yeah, so it's Thursday. I am still kind of upset. Let me explain. So, I don't normally stream on Thursday, obviously. I had to reschedule things, and I still wanted to sit down and chat, so we're here now. But yesterday I had planned everything out. I had scheduled the stream, I set everything up, and I got really busy. I'll go into a little bit more in a second, but I got really busy yesterday. So I sort of lost track of time and forgot to do a couple things so that I could like get ready for stream. So I pushed it back an hour. And I thought to myself, okay, this should be okay. Let's set it to midnight my time, and then chat for about an hour and a half, maybe 2, depending on how much I decide to talk, and we'll go from there. And all was good. I was ready to go. I made sure to set stuff up. We were about to have a fun time, like we're doing now. And then, all of a sudden, like in the middle of me fixing stuff, setting up, getting assets ready, you know, the usual. Like I look in the bottom right and my internet icon's down, and I go, hang on, what's going on? Like it's Wi-Fi. It shouldn't have any issues. So I turn around because my router's behind me, and the router's red barring, and I'm like, wait, what's going on? So I unplug it, as is the usual procedure when your router starts to bug out on you. Then I plugged it back in, and it was still red barring. And I went, oh no. Tried it one more time, still red barring. Tried it a third time because I was incredibly desperate and really wanted it to not be what it was. And it was dead. The internet was dead, and I still have data on my phone, which is how I sent the tweet out saying I can't stream. But yeah, like I could not have timed that any worse. Like for, let me set stream back an hour here, and then, well, you want to set stream back an hour? How about 24 hours? It was that was definitely a shot in the foot. But I guess it was, I don't know. I guess it was kind of fine because maybe it was the universe telling me to take a break for doing too much. Let me go into that a little bit. So, I mentioned yesterday I was very busy, and I was. For me at least, I was extremely busy. I normally don't, unless I'm like super motivated or I have a great idea or something like that. I normally don't sit down for extended periods of time and work on one specific thing. But what ended up happening yesterday was I got inspiration to make some progress on a project that I'm working on. I will not go into details now because it's related to this whole shindig. And I'm leaving it for later because it's going to happen much later. It's always good to be proactive, so I'm preparing now. But I did some work on that, and I got really inspired to do one little piece of it. Little piece. So I sat down and I was like, you know what? Let me start working on it. I'm sure it'll be a fun time. And I started making progress. It's not finished because I was working on it today too. Because I'm not satisfied. I want it to be done. I'm still focused on it. But I started working on it today too. And yesterday I got up at, I think it was 8:30, 9 o'clock around there, like AM. I didn't stop working on it until about an hour before stream, which is why I had to send that tweet out saying, oh no, I lost track of time. So if I do math correctly, that is about 12 to 13 hours. I ate and took a small break, but like I was working on that little mini project for 13 straight hours. But I was having a blast. I was having an absolute blast. Like, you know when you work on something, and even if it's not the most fun thing in the world, like it can be secondarily, it can be something that you have to do, or it can be something that it just comes to mind. It's like, I don't know how boring or exciting this is gonna be. And like when you start working on it, you just get so invested that regardless of how much you wanted to do it in the first place, it just becomes the most exciting thing in the world. That was me. I obviously wanted to do what I was doing, so that takes the slog part of it away. But I like every single step of the way, the more progress I made, I was like, dude, this is fun. This is fun. I'm having a lot of fun. So I really lost track of time. Thank you for the follow. Thank you so much. Hi. What was I saying? Right. So I lost track of time. So that was yesterday for me. Which is why we're streaming today instead of yesterday. But oh well. We make ends meet, things happen. And that's where we end up. So, I will go into a little bit of detail because I don't want to spoil anything, but I've been working with audio files. Like that's part of the yeah. That's part of the main detail of the long-winded project. It's an audio-based thing. I'm not sure where it'll go from here, but for now, like that's what I'll divulge. Is this is an audio-based thing. But as I was working on it, like getting audio files, moving stuff together, it reminded me because like when you bring an audio file into a program, you can see essentially the graphical details of like the peaks and valleys and where audio, like how much decibels each part of the track is. Like some parts are loud, some parts are quiet, etc., etc. But I remembered an old like, well, it's not old, it's still kind of a thing now. But back in the day, in the early 2000s at least, which is still back in the day. Oh, sure, go ahead. I'm down. I'll get back to my talking point. I'll be here a while, but sure, what do you need? My head hurts. Why am I doing this? I actually, hold on. Let me grab that image quick. Because it is part of the talking point. There we go. All right, that's for later. Oh! Really? Interesting. I'm not sure. I don't know enough about that, so I can't really vouch. But you know, it's there's a bunch of this from 2022. Gotcha. Again, I can't vouch. I don't know enough. But yeah, I don't know how to respond to that in a way that makes sense. But like, there's a lot of societal issues, and that definitely falls into that sort of realm. I'm not sure. I really don't know. Yeah, society's rough. People are rough. Everyone loves to hate on others for who they are and what they do, and I don't know. I find that utterly disgusting. I don't care what walk of life you're from. Like we're all human beings. We should all be treated the same. That's how I feel. But yeah, that's like, I don't know. That's just, it's a rough thing. Yeah, it is interesting. I'll say that. I've seen a lot of anecdotes like that throughout history of just, why is that happening? That doesn't make any sense. What's going on? Anyway. What was I talking about? Right, the audiophile stuff. No, I'm not Australian, sadly. I love Australia. And you know, it based on my what's it called? Time zone, it probably feels like I might be. But I'm just living in this time zone for now. I'm not actually Australian. I'm from the United States. I would honestly love to go to Australia. I've never been. Yeah, the USA. There you go. I would honestly love to go to Australia. I find it's a wonderful country, and a lot of not only comedians but musical artists and obviously content creators and other things I follow are from Australia, and I swear they're more entertaining than anything we've ever made. So, but it's a good country. I really like Australia. I definitely do want to go one day. Anyway, back to that audiophile stuff that I was mentioning. Well, I'm not an audiophile. I say that all the time. But yeah, you know what I mean. So we were talking audio peaks, right? Yeah. So I was messing around in the project I was working on with a bunch of audio stuff, and I don't know, depending on like what audio file it is, you can see how it was mixed and mastered, because like all different musical artists, musicians, bands, I don't know, sound designers, I don't know what you would call that, but they all have different people who mix and master, or they're self-mixing and mastering. And everyone has a different preference as to like where peaks should sit, where instruments should sit, pardon me, where everything should be. And, you know, depending on who mixes the track, I don't know, it depends. Like, some stuff's louder than others, some stuff's quieter than others. But, like, in the early 2000s, there was this competition amongst amongst producers, like, specifically in music, where they started mixing music, like, they started mixing and mastering music louder and louder as you go on. It was called the loudness war. And it was bad. It was a bad influence on, like, especially digital music, because with physical records and other things of the sort, it's hard to overmix it because you're limited by the data that's present on the physical object. But with digital stuff, you could do whatever you want. Like, we wouldn't have the bass boost meme from the mid 2010s without the ability to, like, throw a file into Audacity and crank the bass all the way up. You could do that via analog means, but at the same time, like, yeah, it would break things. Physically, like, all the sound quality would just go away. So, you know, that's part of the deal. Anyway, as I was working on the little project in the back, I noticed that when I was pulling audio files in, some of them were mixed incredibly, like, horribly. So, I don't know, it comes to terms with the idea that, like, there is a loudness war. It does exist. It's still happening. So that, I don't know, that's part of the whole cycle of the music industry. But just to give you an example of what I mean to say, oops, sorry, that's all of them. I will show you these later. I did prepare a couple talking points because I wanted to talk about a couple specific things. I mean, I usually go off the cuff, but, you know. Anyway, so here's what I mean. Oh, you do produce music. Yeah, so you have an idea of what I'm talking about then. So here's a couple audio tracks from different decades. I hope you can see that. They're all rock and metal genre. So they're all in the same sort of field of how people mix and master them. The top one is a track from System of a Down from 1998. The middle one is from Metallica's famous Death Magnetic album from 2008, like, famously loud. And the bottom one is an Alice in Chains track from 2018. But you can see on these audio tracks here that the top one is pretty appropriately mixed. It's quieter. Like, the loudest parts of the music are all equalized at roughly the same points. The quiets are all quiet to a degree. And everything is, you know, everything is squarely put away, so it looks nice. And that was kind of the trend for a long time, was to make it so that it was mixed and mastered to a way that made sense and wasn't, like, overly exaggerated in one aspect or another. Now, these are a bit cherry-picked, so it might be a slight over-exaggeration of the truth. But the second example is a very famous example. Ooh, hold on. There we go. Creating a perfect resonance in the microtonal and bass note, a note above, a note below, and a note up. That's cool. That is actually really cool. Yeah, perfect resonance is really a fantastic thing to get right. You get some really unique audio effects with that. Anyway, so the middle choice, which is Death Magnetic, which is a Metallica album from 2008, is famously overmixed. This was back during the real high points of the loudness war era. It ran rampant through the mid 2000s, late 2000s, and early 2010s. Right, pre-bending. But what ended up happening specifically with this was when they mixed and mastered it, they greatly overdid it to where pretty much everything is cut off, everything's clipped. And in audio clipping, it's never healthy. It is absolutely never healthy. So what ended up happening is people realized that the audio release for the actual album was horrible. Yeah, you never want to clip. They realized that it was horrible, and people figured out that they actually had the master tracks that weren't horribly overmixed. They were actually in a Guitar Hero game. Fancy that. And people figured out that like you could remix it and remaster it and not have it sound like actual ass. But the actual album release looked like that. And it was all in the competition to get louder and louder because I guess the louder the music is, the more of an impact it has. I don't know. I don't get it. But the bottom one is from an Alice in Chains album from 2018. Yes, Alice in Chains are still around. Right, 7/12 or 8/24. Yeah, so the bottom one is an Alice in Chains album from 2018. So in 2018, the whole loudness war thing was kind of not as impactful as it was because people actually learned how to mix properly. But we've sort of still got a bit of vestiges of that. So even now, like the whole mixing and mastering thing, like people generally mix much louder. That's sort of the aftershock of the loudness war. So this, while it is the bottom track, while it is mixed properly, it is still much louder than the one from 1998. And if it was mixed even a little more, you'd start to get clipping. So they are really pushing the limits of like what they're really pushing the limits of where it sits in the audio. So yeah, that's definitely the crux of the whole issue. But anyway, you can see like this is just something I picked up while I was working on that audio project. But you can see as the files like go on in years, like there was no loudness war, and then there was a horrible loudness war, and now we're kind of in the aftermath of that. And it is hard to escape from that for sure, because it's sort of a like a what's it called? It's sort of a issue that occurs with what is it? Just general. Oh man, I can't think of the word. It's an issue with mixing, and you have to be careful with that sort of thing. I don't know. It's just part of the whole deal. Anyway, that's my discussion on general audiophileness. So, in that aspect, I don't know. It was a fun little thing that I picked up while wondering how the audio files would set up in the little project I was working on. And it's just, I don't know, it's just a fun little bit of audio nuttery. It's fun. Loudness war's not fun, but working with audio stuff is fun. But yeah, that's my little spiel. That was sort of my my Wednesday into Thursday. That's how I dealt. What was I gonna say? Right. So, yeah, we had Bossa Nova. Very true. So on from that. Twitter has had a bit of a mess. So I'm a pretty active user of Twitter ever since I started doing all this stuff. And you can talk up and down about how evil Twitter is, how useful it is, whatever. It doesn't matter. But I swear, the website does not make any sort of sense. Like very recently, at least, it's just been a chaotic mess of probably programming hell, I bet. Like, the most recent thing was they reorganized the icons at the bottom of tweets, which I don't think anyone wanted. But I woke up to that, and I looked at my my tweets and all the people I follow, and I looked at my timeline, and all of a sudden everything's rearranged. And I went, do you realize how many people you're gonna you're gonna screw up with that? Like, what a mess! What an utter mess! I think it all started back with when they added the view count to tweets, which I get that it's useful for some people because it shows how much reach you're getting with your activity on Twitter. Some people use it as a promotional tool, some people use it as a business. It's a social media platform. You can use it any way you want. But it creates a bit of toxicity with people where you start focusing really hard on numbers. At least that's my perspective on it. But now they've moved it, so it's on the opposite side. Which is I swear, whoever's developing Twitter, whoever's left developing Twitter, it reminds me of that one Moon Knight image of him just throwing a bunch of knives and going, random bullshit, go! That's what Twitter feels like from time to time. And we wake up and we look at what's changed with Twitter, and it's like some new fresh hell. Ugh, it's just a mess. It really is. But it's good. It's good for one thing. It's good for memes. Twitter's good for memes. A lot of accounts that I follow and a lot of timeline stuff that I see is memes because I love them. And some of them are dragged from other websites, of course. And then some of them are placed from creative accounts. Some of them are made for Twitter. But it's all memes, and memes are good. So, what ended up happening on my time limit, at least, or what I saw on my timeline was a couple posts that I laughed a bit at, and I was like, "What is this trend? What is this trend? What's going on here?" And there were a couple animation accounts did some jokes and some memes. But it all stemmed back to, what's it called? Oh yeah, that is how we got Rock. You're very true, very right. It all stemmed back to that one. It comes from TikTok. A lot of trends these days come from TikTok because I'm gonna say it. TikTok is 110% it is Vine 2. It is just Vine 2. It is the same thing. Trends that started on Vine and started running rampant on the internet. Same thing happens with TikTok. I think it's actually worse because there's more people on TikTok than there were on Vine, I believe. But it often bleeds over into Twitter. And on Twitter, what I ended up seeing was, hold on, let me bring up an image. Was this dog? This dog. So if you've never seen this dog before, this is a Borzoi. It is a Russian breed of what's it called? I think long-haired, something along those lines. I don't know. It's a good boy. That's all I can say. But there's a new meme with this dog. I mean, this dog's been a meme for a very long time. But there's a new meme of this dog. And it's the Miss Piggy audio file of what's it called? It's like, didn't I do it for you? It's like something like that. Very silly, very, very silly. But that's sort of been my obsession over the past couple of days. And it ran rampant all over my Twitter. Just for the fact that, like, I don't know, it's funny. It's really funny. It's, you know, it's one of those things where memes just go over from one place to another, and it's goofy. It's goofy. But the dog, like, it's been on the internet for a long time because you know how internet people are. They're always very silly. And I swear, when people do internet stuff, they find the silliest looking animal. Like, this is animal memes. They find the silliest looking animals and just turn it into a meme. And I saw an image a long time ago of what is it? It's these dogs, and there's 3 of them all sitting. And the caption is something along the lines of, what are these dogs? I've never seen this breed before. I feel like they'd speak to me, but only in riddles. And then we got this new meme with the Miss Piggy sample, and it's goofy. I love memes. To follow on that trend though with TikTok stuff, because I don't know, I've been on the internet for a long time, and I've seen my fair share of memes, both from TikTok. I don't use it, but I've seen like grabs from it, and amongst other things, you know, it's part of the deal. But what I notice with a lot of that stuff is I'm not old by any means. Like, I'm pretty in line with most quote unquote generations, I'd say. But I swear, I have such a like horrible understanding of modern slang. It is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Like for instance, the new word sweeping the nation apparently is Riz, which like it took me a solid month to figure out what the hell people were talking about. So, I don't know. It's like I don't understand why people shorten stuff, but it's part of the process. With slang at least, I don't know. It depends. Because sometimes, like, I'll learn about a slang term. Yes, very true. We are all idiots. Exactly. I'm talking about slang, and slang is just dumb terms for dumb people. But it's silly. Like, I'll find my fair share of slang terms, and some of them are goofy. Some of them are used ironically, but after a certain point, I don't know. Like, what was it called? Brain, please. Yeah, it was like, remember back in the day when people used to abuse like fam and stuff like that, like shorthand for family and stuff? After a certain point, if you use it enough to be silly, it stops being silly and starts being part of your actual vocabulary, and that's happened a couple times with me. But the newest one, which is Riz, it's short for charisma. I did not know that. It took me a solid month to figure that one out, but that's where we stand now. It's just I don't like. I'll never understand why people shorten stuff. I get it's a communication thing. Like, if you've ever taken any sort of linguistics, the way that communication works is people who want to divulge information want to do it in the least amount possible, and people who want to listen want to take it in the most amount possible. So with conversation and communication, you often get stuck at an impasse where, like, if you're talking to somebody, you want to get the information out as quickly as you can, but the person listening to you wants as much information as they possibly can listen to. So that's how language is sort of develops over time, is you get the most information possible in the shortest amount of syllables that the other person will understand. So that's how That's how shortened, what's it called? That's how things are shortened over time. And, like, how we get slang as we go along. Like, the people just want to shorten things because it's easier to say, or it's easier to convey that information, and the listener still interprets it as what would be a lot of information. So things just get shortened as they go. I don't know. It's a pro and a con at the same time when it comes to language. Because learning, especially learning a language for sure, understanding all of the words and understanding like how the language is structured and how to communicate is like part one, and then part two is figuring out how people take those words and tear them to shreds, so that they have an easier time conversing with one another. All languages have slang. Every single language has its fair share. Because it's a side effect. It's a side effect of communication. And for English at least, it seems to be more of a generational thing, where older people use their forms of slang and newer people, not literally newer people, younger people use their forms of slang. And it I don't know, I have a more of an understanding of stuff I've grown up with than stuff that I'm experiencing on the daily. I think that's just a fact. It's always a battle. It's an uphill battle, I think. Yeah, a tug of war. But I don't know. One of these days, maybe I'll understand a bit more of what the new kids on the block are saying. But for now, I guess I have more boomer energy than zoomer energy, even though I've been on the internet since I was incredibly young and know a little bit too much. But hey, that's part of the deal. Anyway, that's been my experience with like Twitter and online and recently. It kind of amazes me how much I've been using Twitter since I started doing this. Like I never actively used Twitter. I used it more as like a content source. Because it is a good promotional tool. It's very helpful. I wouldn't tie your entire ship to that. So it just comes down to brass tacks and how you like self-promote. But I've been using it way more. So, it's just Twitter. I do wish it was more stable than it currently is, though. But we're currently in the age of like, what's it called? Working with stuff, figuring things out. So who knows? It's just part of the process. What else did I want to talk about today? Oh yeah, right. So I do a lot of world building. Like I watch a lot of world building content. I do. So, what ended up happening over the past like couple of weeks or so? Someone in my chat actually suggested, after a while, that what's it called? I don't know. What was I gonna say? Right, alien biospheres. So I wanted to talk about alien biospheres. The thing with that whole deal, at least, is that I don't know. It like if you've never done world building stuff, world building stuff is very, very fun. Because like it gets you to understand a bit of how people develop worlds and things like that. So who knows? But Alien Biospheres is a very unique little bit of world building by what's it called? Bibloridian on on YouTube. And Bibloridian started it, I think, a year or two ago. And it's a fantastic little bit of world building because he develops, I think I mentioned a little bit of this, But I wanted to go into more detail because it's really fun to watch. But who knows? Like, Alien Biospheres is unique in the fact... I still have the Borzoi up on screen. Alien Biospheres is unique in the fact that, like, I don't know. It takes what is essentially micro and macrobiology and presents it in a really unique way that is just really fun. So, like, to give you a basic rundown. It is essentially a system where what's it called? You start from microbiology and you move up to macrobiology, and you go through the basic phases of evolution in an Earth-based planet, right? So what Bibliridion does is uses an Earth analog with a very, very unique atmosphere composed of hydrogen sulfide, which, if you're not sure what hydrogen sulfide is, it's a very carcinogenic and toxic chemical for living things. But yeah. Anyway, it is a big old world building experiment more than anything else, and it is also a trip through biology and evolutionary science. And the creatures that Bibliridion comes up with are all based on general adaptations of a world that he himself has built, and like every aspect of it is really fun and really interesting. So, yeah. It's a great little bit of world building, and I've been obsessed with it over the past week or so. Like, I tend to watch stuff on loop because that is my want. That's generally how I consume content. And if I find something that I'm really interested in, I'll watch it over and over again as like background noise. And that has been Bibliridion for me recently. Mainly the Alien Biosphere series. I've looked through his channel. He's got some other really cool stuff, like a Conlang series, which Conlang is essentially language building, which is its own crazy conspiracy. But yeah, it's a good little bit of series. And like the creature designs, as I mentioned before, are all really fun. For instance, pardon your eyes, this is a spider-like creature, but this is a sarcopod, which is like one of the two body plans, which body plans are essentially like evolutionary stems. It's where a lot of stuff comes from. If you look at body plans for a lot of living creatures on the Earth, we all have a very similar body plan with different shapes and such. But this is a sarcopod, which is a very weird looking thing. It kind of looks like a Cthulhu worm. I don't know if you'd call it that, but it's weirdly cute. And I kind of want a plushie of one. I think it would be adorable. So who knows? One of these days, maybe he'll release them. People have been pining for plushies of these things for a while, so they're very goofy. They're very goofy little things. And they turn into a bunch of different creatures. Like one of them has evolved for swinging through trees, which I think brachiation, I believe it's called, as in using the arms and branches of trees to locomote through the canopy of trees. And people have called it spider monkeys because they look like spiders, kinda. I don't know. You'd have to watch the series to kind of see what I'm talking about, but it's a really unique romp through both understanding of like what the how evolution goes, and also like how like how different creatures can be created through just practical world building and using general fundamentals of evolutionary theory. It's a fun little series. It really is. And it goes along with my general interest in world building content and such. So I thought I'd share and go into a little bit more detail about it because it's good. It's a good little thing. Right. So that's my spiel on that. That's been my sort of obsession. The other obsession, as always, because I cannot take myself away, has been playing Destiny 2. I I mention it very occasionally, but I mention it somewhat frequently at the same time. Sort of a dichotomy, but yeah. Anyway, so what ended up happening over the past week or so? Obviously, we're knee deep in the new season. Everybody's playing, having a good time. Well, having a good time is subjective, but it seems like people are having a good time. But I was curious one day, so I wanted to look up how to skate. Not literally like rollerblade or ice skate or something like that. It's a movement tech. If you've heard of like speed running content, if you've like ever watched speed running content, it's like movement tech is essentially something that people use to describe different methods of moving in a movement-based game that require a little bit more thought process or a couple more button presses than just jumping or sprinting or moving in XYZ direction. It's a movement tech, which is shorthand for movement technique. And the primary movement tech in Destiny 2 for quote-unquote speed running or getting from one place to another very quickly is called skating, which essentially requires you to use a sword from a specific activity called Dares of Eternity, which is like this 6-player match made, very fun, almost like game show kind of thing. But the sword is based on the energy sword from Halo, which if you ever played Halo, the energy sword is famous for the fact that it can lunge great distances to smack people to face really hard. And they added it to, well, half of it. They added half of the sword to Destiny 2. And with the sword, you can use it as a movement tech, where you can use the perk on it called Eager Edge to move great distances when you pull the sword out. And it is like a big lunge. It was bigger. It did get toned down because people were using it to break maps. And people still use it to break maps, so they really only kind of Band-Aid fixed it. But regardless, with the Eager Edge, there are certain specific techniques that you can do to abuse the game's movement systems in order to cancel certain animations out and cause yourself to lunge like 10 times as far as you normally would. I would present a clip right now, but it is on my Twitter, so I have done it. But I decided to watch a video on how to properly do skating, because I have always wanted to do it, and I've been able to do a very like neutered version of it using a different sword called Worldline Zero, which is essentially a sword that allows you to teleport. It has the same movement mechanic. It's just you don't go nearly as far. You go maybe like a third, if not a quarter as much. It's much weaker. It was easy for me because I just hit all the buttons at the same time and I go wee, and that's it. So I was fine with that. But I play on controller. Yeah, shame on me for playing controller on PC, but I play on controller, so I'm stuck with it. And for me, skating has always been an unachievable goal because the button mapping that I have set up just did not allow me to be able to do it, like, at all. It was either I had to hold the button or I couldn't switch the weapons fast enough, or yada yada yada. General controller jargon. But I decided to watch a video on it one day because I was curious, and I looked up like how to skate on controller, and the person I was watching said, make sure that you map this specific button to be a single press rather than a hold, because it will screw up the timing. And I went, really? It's that simple? So I adjusted my controls, went into a private Crucible match, which is where you can test a lot of stuff. Specifically on Mayhem, so you get your super back quick. Went on my Warlock, grabbed my Eager Edge sword, and I attempted to well skate, which is where you use your super in combination with the Eager Edge. And the way that it works is when you use Well of Radiance, you slam. That's the super. When you use your Well of Radiance, you slam down on the ground, and you have downwards momentum when you do it. And the combination of downwards momentum with the forward lunge from the sword and jumping all together, all three cancel out, and you go extremely fast in a straight line. So I threw myself into Crucible and started testing it, and I ended up getting it after like 5 minutes. So yeah, it was a lot easier than I realistically thought it would be after I changed around my controls. This is all Destiny brain rot, but I want to talk about it because movement techs are fun. I've seen people do it in Portal, not like skating, but I've seen people use movement techs in Portal, and I don't know, abusing the game engine to accomplish a goal is always super interesting. And I play Destiny a lot, so I wanted to figure out how to do it. So I figured out how to do it, and apparently it's not easy. So I'm glad that I could accomplish that goal. But yeah, I managed to get well skating down, which is really nice. And then from there, I was like, let me see if I can do that, because I started throwing messages back and forth with one of my friends who actually does know how to well skate and has done for a while. He's on mouse and keyboard, so it's a little easier for him. At least I think it's easier for him. I don't know. He did it first. Who knows? Like, he's the sort of person who he doesn't play Destiny because he's kind of burned out on it, but he'll hop on, switch to his Warlock, well skate once, and then hop off because he wants to make sure that he can still do it, you know? But yeah, it's a fun little thing. It's a fun little exercise in breaking the game engine, but I wanted to see if I could do it on a different character as well. So I threw myself to the wolves and said, let me see if I can shatter skate, which is the same thing, but on Hunter. And you use the shatter dive, which is the down movement tech for that class, in combination with the sword, and you go just as fast, if not slightly faster. My issue was my shatter dive was bound to hold instead of press. So I changed it to press, went back into the private match to see if I could do it, and it was so insanely easy compared to well skating that all I had to do was just press all the buttons. Like, there's no timing in between. Just swap to the sword, press all 3 buttons, go at Mach 7. And I was really proud of myself. So I learned that movement tech, and then just to see whether or not I could execute it in a more general environment, I launched the Strike playlist, got into a bunch of matchmade activities, kept the sword out, and just started skating everywhere. Like that was probably the most fun I've had in a very lax playlist for a very long time. It's a good movement tech. It really is. So that's sort of the idea of like how I learned how to skate. It weirdly enough, I think it's because I played the game for long enough that it came to me so quickly, and I've also practiced it with a completely different weapon. But I'm glad that I can do it now, because it's very goofy, it's very fun, and learning new things that I don't know are just unconventional is very engaging. And you know, especially with games like Destiny, where it's a live service game, and things are constantly changing, but it kind of forces you to come back week after week and play as much as possible. You know the deal. I don't know. Learning new stuff like that keeps the game exciting and allows me to keep playing. So, you know, the more I learn about the games that I like, the more I'll play them, and the more I play them, the more I learn, and it's just this snowball feedback loop of like having fun. Anyway, that's some Destiny brain rot, because I cannot get enough of Destiny. I play it too much. I do. If I had to get an appropriation of how many hours on Steam I had, it'd probably be like 2 or 3 times more than any other game combined. It's a problem. But hey, you enjoy what you enjoy. I enjoy what I enjoy. We're all different. We all have different interests. And Destiny is my game of choice, so I stick with it. On that same note of stuff I've been doing over the past week or so, because I mentioned my project over the past couple of days. I mentioned what Twitter's been like, general memeage, and other stuff. back on New Year's, which is the last time that I really sat down and just started chatting about random nonsense, I presented off a bunch of quick resolutions that I had thought off the top of my head. And I have made progress on one, and it's that my sleep schedule's better. It got really bad. It got excessively bad. It did. My sleep schedule when I did that stream was so bad that I was essentially nocturnal. I would sleep from 11. I think I mentioned this before. I would sleep from 11 a.m. to like 6 p.m. or 9 p.m., which is the entire day, and then I would stay up all night. I have slowly shifted it back to where I stay up during the day now, and I go to bed at night like a normal human being. But for a while, it was bad. It was bad. And I was skipping meals. Like, that's how bad my sleep schedule was. I would wake up, I would eat what I would call breakfast, and then I would either get distracted with something that took up a ton of my time, or, absolutely get trashed and fall asleep again. By trashed, I don't mean get drunk. I just mean get really tired or get really exhausted and just knock out again. Because of how bad my sleep schedule was, I think I was sleeping like 14 hours a day or something stupid like that, like a cat. I am not a cat. I have not been a cat, at least to my knowledge, but I slept like one. And I have tried my hardest to fix it, and I think I've accomplished that. So that's where we are now with the sleep schedule. One of the other what's it called? Sorry, I can't type and think at the same time. Bad at multitasking. One of the other things that I thought about when I did that New Year's stream was I had thought about like meeting new people. And I'm still kind of hopeful about that. I am. But my problem is I am cripplingly shy. Yep, hear it all the time. Everyone always is, but I don't know. It's just I am. It's part of who I am. It's been part of why I don't have like I'm not an extrovert. I don't have a massive friend group like a lot of people. Hello. Excuse me for 1 second. I just have to adjust something. Chat's not showing up on screen right now because I've fixed a couple settings. Apologies for that. But I can still see you. It's going really well. I'm just chatting about meeting new people and hello, new person. Yeah, okay. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm a very introverted person. Thank you for the follow. Thank you so much. But yeah. So my main issue with like meeting new people is the internet's scary, man. Yeah, you and I both, exactly. The internet's scary, man. I've seen my fair share of like, I don't know what you'd call it. People who come off as pretty open and inviting at first, and then they start like downloading their information into your head, and it's like, dude, please, please, can you not? It's just it's a mess. It really is. I like that's my issue with wanting to meet new people. Like, you know, back in the day. Stop giving a shit. Yeah, true. Back in the day, back when what's it called? Back when like voice chat on old games was still a thing, like, you know, Call of Duty back then. I know that some people are extroverts and just don't care. Like, they'll talk to whoever they want. No, I cannot do that. I legit cannot do that. It is so scary because I don't know what people are gonna say. So I go with the avoidance principle of like, I'm good, man. Can you not? And I just don't talk to people. Like, I know that's kind of stifling my. I am talking to you. It's sort of stifling my general like ability to reach out and like meet new people and things. But I don't know. I slowly want to try to break out of my shell for sure. But it's all a time thing, and I have trust issues. I mentioned this before. I do have trust issues. I've had a lot of times in my life where people who I thought were friends of mine were not friends of mine, and people who were friends of mine were taken from me. I seem like a cool person. Thank you. It's really nice. You seem pretty cool too. I'm happy to chat with people through all the BS. I don't know. I had a thought, honestly, because this stream was originally supposed to be yesterday. Welcome to adulthood. Very true. Trust me, that statement is so true. Unbelievably true with the amount of stuff that's happened over the past year for me. Anyway, I was thinking yesterday, like, because I always have this thought. I wonder if things would have gone differently had my internet not just taken the piss. I wonder if things would have gone differently had I done this yesterday. But I don't know. You can't predict stuff. Fate has a way of making things be goofy. So I'm here now, and we're chilling and chatting about stuff. Oh, so I explained at the beginning of stream, but I was working on stuff and I was really busy, and I had to push back stream. And then my router just decided to give up on me. I think they were doing maintenance or something, so I couldn't stream at all. And I was really pissed because it happened like right in the interim where I'd pushed stuff back, and now we're here because I delayed it 24 hours. I normally stream on Wednesdays. This is very, very different for me. Yeah, ouch is the right word. This is very different for me. But hey, it's like internet's very fickle like that. So you can't really when it comes to the ISP, they have more charge of the situation than you. So well. It's part of the process. That was like my general issue of stuff. Middle of nowhere, surrounded by mountains. That must be a pain. That must be a total pain. But you know, it's part of the process. Do I have Discord? I do have a Discord. It is extremely helpful. I don't have a Discord server, but I do use Discord very frequently. I just need to check something. There we go. Should be okay. Oh. Okay, so new environment. Gotcha. Yeah, Discord's very useful for stuff like that. So is Zoom, weirdly enough. I don't know, there's a bunch of different stuff that like it just depends. Would you like to join my server? Lots of cool people there too. I'd be down. I very rarely interact with people, so you know, new things. It's a new year. I might as well like spread my wings a little bit. Who knows? I should definitely like make my own too. I keep doing this every single time that I bring up my Discord server. I keep remembering that it's not done. It's a pain. It really is. I want it to be perfect. I'm a perfectionist. So I want everything to work in a way that like it's future proof. I do that a lot with stuff. Yeah, I hope. What is it? What was I saying? Right, so I want to make stuff where it's future proof. Like that's my primary plan, of course. So in that way, I always try to make things like look a certain way and act a certain way and have functionality. Like when I like this was the first week that I retooled my schedule because I was getting bored of the old one. But now it's future proof, where if I change anything in the future, I can like arrange stuff and make it look different. Where the last one was pretty rigid. It was just kind of stuck. Oh. Whoa. 120. Oh, that might be because it posted a link. Oh no, not the bot. Oh, that's rough. Hold on. 120. That's 2 minutes. That's ridiculous. Let me fix that right now. That is gross. That is absolutely gross. I'm so sorry about that. I understand why it does that, because some people love to like spam links like it's absolute nonsense. But what the heck is that nonsense? That's ridiculous. Where is it? Going through these like that's the one thing about there it is, spam filters. That's the one thing about like working with all these different stream assets. Yeah, 120 seconds. Jeez. That's pretty rough. Anyway, with the one thing with working with all of these like aspects and things is constantly going through different menus. And it's just a nightmare of like it's a nightmare. I have stream elements. I recently got Seribot from a suggestion from another VTuber. But it's difficult to like, especially in the middle of a stream, go to either stream elements or like the dashboard for stuff and fix stuff. It's a pain in the ass. I'm slowly turning down a lot of the automatically set like timeout functions, because it's oh man, that's abusive. Let me turn that down as it is. But it's all protective measures. Did it set off in the right direction? Okay. But yeah, like I don't know. It's all a goofy. Okay, that's fair. Like especially with Stream Elements. Stream Elements has an automatic system where you can time stuff out. And I don't know, it's helpful. It is. But what a mess creating automatic like bot stuff is. I get why people have moderators now. I really understand why people have moderators now, because it's much easier to do manual review than to not do manual review. Oh, do I have whispers blocked? I don't know how to unblock that. Again, new to this whole thing. Hang on. Again, I've only been here for what, like 2 months? So this is all very new stuff to me. How do I unblock whispers? I'm gonna look it up. Twitch, you utter beast of a creation of creative nonsense. Yeah, we all started this way. You're very true. You're very right. Why do I keep saying you're very true? That's not English. I keep doing that. Oh, it's in settings. Okay, pardon me. Twitch, you monster of a streaming program. Honestly, figuring all this out now will help me in the future. It will. The more I do this, the more things become natural. Someone once messaged that on a Twitter comment. Yeah, it's very also true. Very true. I say that a lot. Very true. Security and privacy? Oh, that would be why. There we go. Let's see if that fixes things. Honestly, having that preventative measure in place is most of us on the server are newbies. Very true. I would assume. Why do I keep saying very true? Natural response. I'm a pre-programmed creation. Oh, okay, gotcha. Honestly, that's a huge thing. It's tough. It is. They constantly like Twitch people constantly throw out statistics about how stuff is done and like in general who is what, and if you have 10 active viewers for any reason, that is like the top 1% of all Twitch. 10. That's not even a third of a general classroom. That is dumb, but just goes to show how many people there are. And I'm completely okay with just, yeah, it's 10. It really is 10. But yeah, like, I say a lot. I'm completely okay with, you know, not growing as much as others, and like, the word I would avoid is stagnation, because it's growth, but it's slow. Yeah, kind of mind blowing, eh? I like to say that I don't play a numbers game, but I pay attention. I do. I just try to, yeah, exactly. Fun and meeting people. I do pay attention to numbers because I'm a very number-oriented person, but I don't let it get to me. Like, I will say, I'm very small. I have pretty consistently stuck at 50 followers on Twitter as of recently, which, yay, 50 followers on Twitter. But most of them are GFX bots, so it's like, yeah. But hey, I don't care. Like, I'm having fun. I like having fun. And that's the crux of this whole deal, right? Is to have as much fun as you possibly can. And, you know, as long as you entertain yourself, maybe someone will hop along who is also entertained. And hey, that's, you know, that's the upside of this whole deal. I don't know, it's fun. I met a couple people, mostly via chatting. But hey, you know, growth is steady. Growth is slow but steady. And who knows, in the future, things might happen that, I don't know, I would be shocked by. I've already been shocked a couple times. But, you know, fate has where am I from? Good question. I am actually natively from the US. I'm natively from the East Coast. And no, I have not been shot. I have not been shot. Ooh, I don't know what I said. I have not been shot. But yeah, that's where I'm natively from. Right now I'm actually living overseas. Trust me, I mishear stuff all the time, so don't worry about it. But I'm actually currently living overseas, so my time zones are totally different from what they normally are. Japan, actually. I know, crazy, but that is where I am. That's currently where I'm situated. I'm gonna be here until probably August of this year, and then I return. But I started this whole gig while, yeah, I know. I started this whole gig while I was, yes, for education and eventually work. It's a temporary gig. It's just to sort of get my foot in the door with stuff. But I'm here for now, and then I go back. But I started this whole gig while I was overseas for some dumb reason. I should have started back home. I have more stuff back home, but I'm making ends meet here, so meh. I like it. I like being here. I can't understand anybody. Well, I can, just very, very basic level. But I don't know. I don't know if I would have had a better experience if I had spent this past year like back home or not. I'm enjoying my time here. It's rough at times, ups and downs. Okay. Truth in words on that one. I swear. It becomes a problem every so often when internet just goes, nah, you know what? You know that fun you're having? How about nah? Interpolation and such. Good old internet troubles. But yeah. What was I saying beforehand? Right. Again, I'm very introverted. And you know what? Japan's a perfect place for me because people are very non-confrontational over here. You can ghost people in the street and they'll never even know you existed. But hey, I at least want to do something at one point. So Oh yeah, of course. 110%. It's mainly an exercise on whether or not I can live, oh, you also moved overseas. Cool. It's really an exercise on whether or not I can live by myself. So, hey, part of the deal. As it stands, I'm definitely not horrible at being able to take care of myself. I'm not like the spitting image of someone who can. But I keep clean. I eat properly, kind of. I go out and breathe air and touch grass. So I'm not a complete shut-in. That would be what I would be like about 2 years ago. That was who I was 2 years ago. But hey, adulting will do that to you. Oh, to Serbia from Australia? That is a gap. That is a gap. Also, hey, an Australian. I mentioned earlier that I really like Australia, so glad to see more people from there. But wow, that is a huge difference. Honestly, like, I hear a lot of stories about people traveling, and I never been in their shoes before. Like, how do you go from one place to another and have no problems at all? No, you have problems. You definitely have problems. Both culture shock and adapting to new surroundings can suck. But hey, we all have different battles to fight, and it's living. Living's not easy, y'all. Some people have it, some people don't. It just depends. And I don't know, travel, yeah, exactly, lots of problems. And travel, especially if you're someone who's lived in one place pretty much their entire life, like I have, yeah, it's all part of it. Going somewhere different is like a huge change, and it does affect you, like both positively and negatively. For me, at least, it's been pretty positive. I had a period like a month back. Yeah, exactly. It's about how you handle it. I had a period about a month back. Not a month back, more like 3 or 4 weeks ago during the holiday season, because it was my first holiday alone. Where things weren't exactly peachy, because I wasn't used to that. But I came out of it. Oh, 2 kids. Ugh. Yeah, in the future, that's gonna be a nightmare for me. I'm not currently in a relationship, but I eventually do want to be in one. Full family, the whole 9 yards, being a human being. But props to any parents, seriously. Like, I can imagine what I was. Yeah, I can imagine what I was like when I was a kid, and I probably wasn't the best handful to deal with. So future me is probably going to be screaming into his pillow. But hey, that's for future me, not for current me. Current me has no plans on that whole 9 yards. But, we'll see what the future may hold. I say that a lot, but it's true. Hang on a second. Automod's blocking that one. There you go. Oh, crotch goblins. Oh, I love that term. Yeah, honestly. Like that, like, I notice, I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm a history buff, but I know enough about history to get by. I say that with a lot of stuff, but it is true. And there's an interesting trend. I think it's definitely societal pressure, but at least like a couple centuries ago, it was pretty normal for people still in their teens to start families, and now it's actually somewhat rare, unless you make really bad life decisions. People tend to start families in their like late 20s, early 30s nowadays, or not at all, depending on who you are. One of my college friends, who is in Japan with me, like friend from college, not in the same place. He's in a completely different part of the country. But I asked him a long time ago, do you ever think about like starting relationships? And he's like, nah, actually. I don't really need one. I don't think I'll ever start one. I think I'm good just living by myself. And honestly, that is completely justifiable. I've always said it's good to, yeah, times are different now, very true. I've always said it's, when it comes to relationships, I'm not someone who you should take relationship advice from, because I've never been in one. But I had a story from a little bit ago. We had someone, one of my parents' friends who had recently been booted out of his house. Yeah, a lot of people, exactly, I respect that too. He had recently been booted out of his house. Mind you, he was in his 40s, so relationship problems could happen at any age, folks. But he needed a place to stay for the time being in the interim, so he stuck around with us. For like a couple months. It wasn't too bad. We had a spare room. We let him stay. He wasn't freeloading. He still worked his job. He just didn't have anywhere to be because he got obviously booted out of his house. But he constantly talked about like different things with relationships. And again, I'm not someone you should take advice from, especially when I was roughly like half his age, if not slightly younger than that. But I remember I said a while ago, and honestly, like it's weird to take a quote from myself and live by it, but when it comes to relationships, always try to be 100% of a person before you enter a relationship. I see a lot of horror stories of people who are never, who like cannot either care for themselves or are emotionally stable enough and like latch onto someone else as sort of a crutch tool. And honestly, for people who need that, that's fine. But when you enter a relationship without understanding like who you are as a person, your relationship has way higher chances to fail. So the way that I see it, if you can be 100% self-sufficient, like if you enter a relationship where you know 100% of like what you're doing, and if the relationship falls apart, you can still be stable, that's the most important thing. Not to say that people who are in codependent relationships aren't having a wonderful time, for sure. But at least in my opinion, you should be completely self-sufficient before you enter into a relationship, because that way, if it wasn't meant to be, at least you won't fall completely on your face. So, yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. That right there is what I mean. You have to be a whole person and not just a half, because if two half persons try to create a whole person, it doesn't work. It does not work. And, you know, people are fickle. People are very, very fickle. So, relationships are tough. I'm not scared of relationships. That's fine. I'm not scared of relationships by any means, but I definitely am quite apprehensive. But hey, one of these days, who knows? I'm not exactly searching, so don't ask. But I don't know. I enjoy my time. I'm a very solitary person. I don't mind being alone for a majority of the time. I definitely need to like talk to people, which is why I have friends. It'd be weird if I didn't. And a lot of my friends are childhood friends. I've fostered extremely strong relationships with certain people. Cheers to solidarity. Yeah. Spending time alone. Yeah. But I don't know. Again, it's all for future stuff. I try to live in the present more than I live in the future. But I also try to be proactive with stuff. It doesn't extend the importance of long time. Pain. Oh, pain. I've had a couple friends throughout the years, either permanent or semi-permanent, who were excessive extroverts, like to an exceeding degree. And I swear, the idea of alone time doesn't exist to them. But for me, I don't know. Like a lot of the people who I talk to very frequently, yeah, exactly. A lot of the people who I talk to very frequently, like the people who I've like been friends with for pretty much my entire life. Most of us are pretty introverted and pretty awkward people. We're very, very tight-knit. This whole thing is my experiment to try to get my face out there a little bit and, you know, stop doing that. But like for me in my friends group, because I've known them for so long, I've kind of flipped the switch and I'm more extroverted. Probably because I hate silence. I think that's my my one weird quirk is I just don't like silence. It's very hard for me to stop talking, as you could probably tell. But at the same time, like it depends. If it's someone that I haven't met, or someone who I'm very much a stranger to, I tend to be very apprehensive, and I either keep the conversation up and keep it flowing with small talk, or don't talk at all unless they're directly engaging. But with people that I do know, and people who I have talked to for a long time, please shut me up. It's not that weird. I don't know. I'm over analytical of stuff, so. But yeah. I say that a lot, and I think it's true. I talk too much. But like the neurons that fire in my brain have such a short path to my mouth that it's very difficult for me to not talk about random nonsense. I had a bunch of talking points earlier on in the stream that I rattled off, and I got through them actually a little too quickly. I was kind of battling with some other stuff at the same time. But I got through a lot of talking points earlier on that I just shredded through. Yeah, it is good. I agree. And honestly, I probably could have flowed a bit better, but perfect for Twitch. Fair enough. I definitely shredded through them a little too quickly, but hey, not everything works out perfectly. But if you want to hear like what I rambled on about, you can probably go back in the VOD and check that out. But hey, we're here now. Anyway, really, it's not a bad thing. Yeah, true. I at least try to have some gravitas with what I talk about. Unless I'm playing a game, then it just doesn't matter. Especially with games. With games, I either talk about whatever's like currently on my mind, or like talk about the game itself. So, speaking of games, I am slightly concerned about the fact that I'm streaming 3 days in a row. I've never done that. 2 is fine, but this is going to be an experience. I'm going to be playing Bioshock Infinite tomorrow. Oh, okay. Mama duties. Well, it was good to see you. If anytime you want to shoot me that Discord invite, I'd be 100% down. Because I think my whispers are open now, so we should be okay. But yeah. Go do you. Go do important stuff. I'll just be here rambling off. Don't worry about me. But yeah, so tomorrow is going to be Bioshock Infinite. So that's on the agenda. And then Saturday is also going to be Bioshock Infinite, because double play. Okay, thank you. What was I going to say? Yeah. So that's on the agenda. That's what we're going to be doing. And usually when I play games, I don't know, I kind of randomly talk about whatever nonsense. So it's part. I don't know. It's part of like, I've always done that. VIP notification. Thank you. But hey, I don't know. I enjoy it. I enjoy rambling. I've always done it. Okay. Thank you. What was I gonna say? Right. Yeah. So on that same level, like, rambling is just kind of part of me, and I've slowly incorporated it into mobile autocorrect. Oh, trust me, I have mine turned off. And I swear my thumbs are so massive I can't even type. So don't worry about it. Autocorrect is honestly a saving grace sometimes. Technology. Anyway, today's been a trip. Today's been really interesting. I haven't done one of these chatting streams in a while. I think the last one I did was on, what was it, New Year's? Yeah, it was New Year's. Which, that actually had a subject matter. The last time I did like a completely off-the-cuff chat was, oh my god, was it like second Yeah, no, it was it was right after I debuted. It's on YouTube. Oh, and I still think that YouTube is a good platform. I do. But man, that was a mistake. Like, I'll admit now, that was a mistake. Not because setting up for YouTube was bad. Like, it actually taught me how to prepare everything correctly, but yeah, it was definitely a bit of a weirdness compared to Twitch. Is much more streamlined when it comes to streaming because it's been around for longer and it's kind of designed for it. But not to burst YouTube's bubble. It's just worse. It is. They've recently done, like, they've recently added raids and such, so it's becoming more Twitch-like as a primary competitor. But I don't hate YouTube. I just don't like YouTube streaming. Maybe in the future I'll figure that nonsense out, but for now, Twitch is fine. And I upload the VODs to YouTube anyway, so hey. Man, I went on longer than I thought I was going to. Maybe just not having prompts is better than me having prompts. Like, I don't know. That's always been a thing with me though, where if I'm in the middle of a presentation or something stupid like that, what is it called? I will always try to get through my talking points a little too fast, and especially if there's a time window, I end up either going way under or trying to fill in with more information that is necessary and going way over. There was a time back in health education class back in high school where we were allotted about 10 minutes to explain something, and I went to a grand total of 17. I remember that because everyone was generally invested, weirdly enough. I know, it's school, and in school you kind of tune out when people present, but I don't know, I guess I held people's attention for long enough, so props to me then. I don't like bragging about stuff. I hate that. But yeah, I guess I can talk for long periods of time, so would you look at that? Anyway, I have run out of things to say. I hope that you enjoyed what I was saying, at least to a degree. I don't know, chatting streams are usually kind of all over the place, but they're fun nonetheless. Anyway, for anyone who popped in during the stream, thank you so much. I'm always happy to chat with people. For anyone who is watching the VOD, good to see you as well. I apologize for the first half. Tomorrow, like I said, is weird. I can't believe I'm saying tomorrow. Tomorrow's BioShock Infinite. We're going to kick that off. And that's going to be the rest of the week. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope to see you again. And thank you so much. Bye-bye.